Alright guys, so we're back again the next weekend. Just went for a, probably only about a 4-kilometer hike up a mountain in a local national park here with my wife and my son, Joran. Joran's almost 2 now and he weighs about 13 kilograms, so I carried him up on my back. 13 kilos is pretty heavy when you're climbing up a mountain, but it was good weight training element. It really gets the cardiovascular fitness up. So yeah, my wife's gone out now with Joran. She's headed over to see her mum and one of her friends today, which is great because it gives me a couple more hours back in the shed here. So what happened last week, I ended up only getting about an hour down here, but what I did in that time was pretty good. You'll notice that bench top over there had a whole pile of stuff on it which was not related to leather. That has been moved. The same with this. Let me turn you around. So let's take a look at what happened last week. Alright, so last week this bench top over here was full of all sorts of things which were non-leather related. I've actually just brought this bag down as I came down here, and I managed to clean off quite a bit of stuff from there, I believe. Also over in this area here, this and this were both loaded up with stuff. I have reorganized my drills and general tools, and a lot of that stuff is just general tools which live in here on my cart there. And I've put away some of the stuff that was also around here. Doesn't look like it, but I have. So now the next mission for today is I'll be setting up my leatherworking tools, a few on here, on my little return maybe, and I'll be setting up my workbench here and putting some stuff into this cabinet, which is my dyes and finishes cabinet. Then thinking I want to take some boards here and maybe put them along this wall. I'm not doing anything permanent because eventually I'd like to run power through here, so I expect whatever I do I'll be taking apart, but it'll get me going for a little while, and see if I can maybe set up some workbench and hand tool storage for my leather and get some stuff put away in this cabinet here. Alright, let's get cracking. Okay, so we're about 15 minutes in. Here's where we're at so far. I've moved the return over here. That's going to be my bench for these 2 tools here, my burnishing tool and my sanding tool, arbor press and shop press on this more hefty unit here. Previously in my workshop as well, I was using a bit of an anvil, and by anvil I mean a scrap bit of 40mm square bar that I had clamped down to the edge of this to give me a long anvil which I could put rivets and things into the bottom of bags. So that was sitting there previously, but I think now I'll actually use this shop cart here, the welding cart, for that, because it's just so much bigger and heavier. It'll do the job better. And as we move around this side, this is where the bearing press was, so this will probably just become a sewing station now, which is nice. That's where the return was. I've moved that around here. Esky was sitting under my main bench there. It actually lives inside my larger Esky over there. And these 2 stools have all my dies and tools and other bits and pieces just stacked up. So I'll be taking these and putting them away shortly. Okay, so bench is out from the wall here. Now, what I want to do, I think, is create some hand tool storage on this wall here, which is the obviously separating wall to the gym in there. I have this MDF panel, or these 2 MDF panels. These were salvaged from inside the house when we used them as a temporary wall prior to most of our renovations. So I took these down. These measure now, normal panels come 2400 millimeters long, just 2.4 meters. But these ones have been cut down on one end to about 2090. This wall is 2055. So I'm going to have to get my table saw, get my circular saw out and rip just a few millimeters off the end of one of these, of both of these, and then I'll be able to mount them up here in this corner. That'll only get me down to about there. So I'll still have a bit of gap there, but that's okay. As I said, this is only temporary, and I'm using salvaged materials instead of stuff that I buy new for the purpose. But that'll give me something to start looking at mounting tools on. So I'm going to go rip those and fit them. Alright, so outside now, got my setup here, my respirator. I use this one when I'm dyeing leather and stuff like that, because when we're cutting MDF, you really want to protect your lungs. I think in the technical term that they use in the industry is that shit's nasty. So really good to just use the right PPE. Also make sure you're using my hearing protection and safety glasses. Now I'll show you the little rig that I've got set up here, or the jig that I've got set up here for cutting this MDF down. Alright, here's what I got. This is the size that I want to cut off. It's only a few millimeters, as you can see, maybe just over an inch in size. It actually tapers a little bit down this end by the look of that. Good to know. Anyway, the setup that I have here is obviously a power cord coming from the shed, running to my circular saw. The whole thing is sitting up on a couple of saw horses, and I have here a jig which I made, which is basically the factory edge of a piece of plywood. Because coming out of the factory they're very nice and straight, the edges of the plywood. So a factory edge of plywood which I have screwed down to a backing board, and then when you run your saw fence here, or saw plate, along the inside edge, and I'll do that now for you. Along the edge there you see that the saw blade will actually cut this front-facing edge off your backing plate, and you'll get a nice flush cut all the way down your workpiece that follows with the fence on the saw following the straight edge from the factory. So that's what I'm using to cut this down. It took me about 5 or 6 minutes to set this whole rig up, given that I'd already created this when I did my shed renovation for the workshop. So, safety elements, making sure of course that this is clamped down very well. I've got 2 clamps on that, and also at the other end you'll see that I have a clamp that's securing this MDF to the sawhorses, so that I do not have it wobbling about while I'm trying to cut it with my circular saw. Alright, I'm going to rip this one down, do the same with the other, and go ahead and install them. Okay, so I've put the wall in now, and you can see I'm starting to mount a couple of tools up there, and I've started to put away some things. So I've moved the bench top so that it lays out here. Now the reason I've orientated it this way at the moment is because I want it so that if I've got a really long hide, it can run over both sides of the bench top and over the back, because they can be pretty wide. And I use this bench top when I'm strap cutting or when I'm cutting out pieces from a full hide. So I need that space. It was just a bit of a lesson learned. Last time I did this, I'd put the bench top up against the wall, and it was really frustrating when the hide was longer and it came over this edge. And the other lesson that I learned as well was I'd put it up against the, actually up against that cabinet on one side, and that was frustrating as well when I had a hide that was really long. So this way I've got space on either side. I've got myself a little rubbish bin underneath, scrap bin over here, chemical cupboard with all of my dyes, and then all of my finishes and edge paints. I've got some threads, zippers, dye pads, which I could possibly move up to the top shelf there. These are actually really easy to make. We have like sheepskin slippers, and when they get a bit old, you just cut them up into squares and you get some nice dye pads out of that. So that was one pair of long sheepskin slippers. Crazy. There's just some denim and stuff in there. Then over here, figuring out what to do with these templates. So these are poster board templates that I've used for a portfolio and some bags. One of the tutorials that I've got up here has a bag in there, also a knife sheath template and some other bits and pieces. In here, I had the idea to do some hardening of leather at one point for like pouches and cases and things, and so that crock pot came from upstairs in the house. We've replaced it with something different, so I thought I'll keep it in case I want to use it to melt down wax in a safe way so that it's not over flame, for example. And then of course just some candles that were actually on special. They say $7, that they were a lot cheaper than that, so that wax would be good enough for hardening things. More templates and wet mold templates that I've made previously. Just some scrap bin there. On this shelf here I've got lots of hardware. All of that is hardware basically, and some stuff that I haven't figured out where to put yet. So the idea is that all of this, most of the time I'll be either sitting down or standing up. So I have a chair if I want to sit down. But I've got pretty easy reach from there to the hardware, and from there to the dyes and other things that I need. I've got plenty of space over the bench top in all directions as well. And now just over here I've got a bunch of other bits and pieces. My airbrush and all of my other leather tools are pretty much here. So I'll be taking those and arranging them in either this space here or up on this wall, which will be interesting. I've got ideas that in the future maybe I'll do like some French cleats or something along this wall, and then I'll make little boxes that I can take on and off the wall with different tool sets in them. So if I need, I don't know, if I need some letter stamps, or if I need my soldering iron, or if I need whatever else, my edge bevelers, or if I need something like that, then I would have all of those tools stacked up together in one big box of each type, and then I just take that whole box off, put it on the bench top, use it as I need to, and then when I'm finished with it, put it back away on the wall so that the bench top stays clear of tools. That's the idea, because then if the bench top is clear of tools, I can just come in here the next time I need to work and throw some stuff down and start working. What else? Yeah, I guess we can see where this is going. So for now, I'm going to start organizing some more of these tools. Good sewing! You're almost through!
Almost! Keep going! Keep going! Keep going! All the way!
Good job! You got it!
Show Daddy!
Show me! Well done!
Do you want to do it again?
More? Do it on that one.
Do it. Keep going. Yes. Keep
Well
going.
done! That's
Good
it!
job.
Well done! Hey, look, that's basically better than most adults.
Wow!
Yay!
One more.
More? G'day guys. Well, rain stopped play last week while I was working here. And when I say rain, I mean my son came home in a fit of waterworks. And so I had to go upstairs really quickly and stop what I was doing. But here's where I'm up to so far. You can see I've started putting all my tools up here on the wall, just using a strap of Latigo leather, because I got lots of the stuff, so it was pretty cheap and easy for me to do. I'm going to continue now to put some more stuff up there and clear more stuff off the bench top. Show you what we're looking like right now. So this is what we're looking like at the moment. You can see I've just got my strip of Latigo leather up here, which I'm running across to mount the tools on. Pretty easy to do, doesn't take long. And then as I just go through my little tool case here, all these punches and bevelers and oblong punches and things, that'll all go in there. Some of these things won't go in there, like my strop or any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, so let's just get these things put up on the wall and then be ready to start giving it a go. So this is what it looks like. Just got a couple of little nails for each one, and you just put them in. Obviously this one is a bit snug, but that's good. That's what I want. So to do this, it's pretty simple. You just take the thing that you want and you put it in there, and then you see how much tension you need on that, and grab a couple of nails and just bash it in. That's it. That's it. Not a lot of thought needs to go into that. For me, I've just sort of started arranging it, you know, hammers and strap cutters and cutting tools, and then on the next level down, I'll probably end up with like my bevelers and other bits and pieces. I'm just trying to keep the things that are really sharp up higher, so that if my son comes in here, he doesn't grab those and do some damage to himself or to my shed, or both, probably. Okay, so this is where we're up to so far. Pretty happy with that progress. But now I got this little challenge down here. I've got a couple of different sized punches and stuff, and my scalpel. And I want to keep them up there as well because I use them all the time, but they're not going to work with those straps. The challenge with a punch, obviously a drive punch, is that it's a consistent size all the way down. So what I thought I might do instead is, if we can move this way, when I cut down those wall boards, this was the strip of offcut, and so I've just cut a bit of that off the end here, and I thought what I might do is drill through the end here and attach that to the wall, and then I could drill a couple of holes in this that don't go all the way through, so that the punches could sit in there. That's the theory. Let's see how it works in practice. Yeah, that kind of worked. I mean, you know, the key word here is temporary. So that's what it looks like. I just drilled the holes through. Now, I figured it was a bit thin, so I just drilled the holes all the way through and put another piece on the bottom here, which you can see I just kind of nailed down. And then I nailed it to the wall here. Now, the first time I tried to hit a nail into that, it started to split, so then I pre-drilled the holes and the splitting was less, which is good. So now how are we looking? Pretty good. Tried to keep enough clearance space there between, you know, getting my strap end cutter out and not hitting that, and also my other tools here will be a little bit close probably, but I think over time they'll find their natural order. So that's pretty good. That's most of the tools that I'll be putting up there. I've got a couple of other bits and pieces, but that's the majority of the tools that I'd use all the time. So a bunch of my different stitching tools and things like that I'm not going to put in there. I keep a little zipper bag full of the things that I use fairly irregularly, like the stitch groover, different sized pricking irons and stuff are in there as well. The old Tandy Professional Craft Tool Pros or whatever they are, which I've now got some Wooter pricking irons that are in a size that I like a bit better, so I use them. That's about it. I think I might end this little video series here, and the next time you see me it'll probably be for a construction project and this whole space will be done, but I think you get the gist of where we're going with it. So let me know what you think. Comment in the section down below, and let me know what you think about these style of videos as well. This is a kind of new style of video for me, doing this vlog, which I haven't really done since I built the shed in the first place. So let me know if you're interested in this kind of thing, and if you are, feed that back down in the comment section below and go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Cheers guys.